Welcome, everybody, to 8192 The Truth. My name is Lad Supernon. We are live once again at Phosphor Studio in downtown Kansas City. It is my pleasure to welcome Joel, the godfather of Supernon, which is, of course, my dad, and his co-host, Kevin, Brother Sin, Sineer.
Thank you, Lad. All right, so obviously Lad couldn't be here today. The first thing I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about last week's show. Last week's show was fantastic. It was phenomenal. It turned out great. The feedback was incredible. But in preparation for the show, I walked around this stage and I spit out stuff for an hour. And every time I would stop and go again, I would say something different. So near the end of the show, I just kind of wrapped it up and called it a day. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to thank some people, and I didn't do that, and I kind of felt bad about that. One of the persons I wanted to thank was Chael Sonnen, and I went over this 100 times in my head how I would spit out trying to thank Chael Sonnen, and then it goes down a different road, and then it goes somewhere else. So I kind of decided to just say, "Hey, thanks, Chael. I want to thank my sister. I want to thank my family." I want to thank the fans. Over the past, 4 months, a lot of people reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you out there." I wanted to thank the fans. Great response on the first show, and I wanted to thank the fans again for the tremendous support, and the numbers are, the podcast numbers are huge, and this video format's something new, but with almost no publicity, incredible numbers. Now we can start having some fun. Now that I got all of the, I was poor and I weighed 5,000 pounds out and all that out, now we can start having some fun. This week, we're going to, the superstar of the week is right there, my man Jack Strong. Jack Cash Rytel. He's in Lad's school. He's a year younger than Lad. This is about 6 months ago. I get a call from a buddy of mine. Now, I know Jack's dad, Justin Rytel, known him for 20 years, and he's a good friend of mine. He's one of those friends that you don't have to talk to all the time, but if you text him, he'll text you back. If you need something, he's there, and vice versa. He's that kind of guy. I find out that Jack, a year younger than Lad, in perfect health, went to school, went home and did his homework, and in the middle of the night, he told his mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm not feeling well." The next morning, he almost dies, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. So I felt obligated. I felt drawn to, what do you do in a situation like that? I know Jack. He's not real, I've only met him a couple times at this point. Do I send the text, "Hey man, praying for you," the Facebook thing? Something about it was drawn to me that I had to go see this young man. I had to go down to the Children's Hospital in Portland and see this young man. And I remember sitting in the truck before I went in there. And I was scared, man. I was scared. What are you going to do? You're going to go in there. Everybody's going to be devastated. He didn't do anything wrong. He's paralyzed with something that 13 people get a year. So anyway, I sack up, okay? Listen to me saying I sack up when he's up there, but that's how I felt. So I go up there, and the energy isn't. The Jack's got a smile on his face. He can't. This is what Jack can do at this time. He can move his head. But he's just like, "Yeah, I'm going to beat this thing. There's 3 levels of this thing. I'm either going to beat it and get all my function back, and that's what I'm going to do, and then 2 other things." Well, those 2 other things that he didn't talk about were atrocious. One of them was he just moves his head like that for the rest of his life, okay? And the other one wasn't a whole lot better. But he was determined, and there was something about his energy. So we went down, and everybody was kind of uplifted. This is 48 hours after this has happened. So I go downstairs to this long, can you get that other picture up of, no, not that one, the one with the three of us and the security guard? See if you can find that. So we go down to the basement of this children's hospital, and it's got about a 75-yard hallway. And so I start, at this time, I weigh 992,000 pounds, but I'm trying to get in shape. So I start running Jack back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And, you know, I'm being real. I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, man, this isn't fair what's happened, but, you know, you got to fight. And he's like, yeah, I'm all over it. So we get through that. Right away, Jack starts improving. Right away, he starts improving. Now we start going down there. I start going down there with my buddies every week, and we start working out in what we call the dojo. So now we've got Jake Smith, who's an up-and-comer professional fighter. Lad's down there. I'm down there. We got mitts. We're doing a circuit training, and it's a full-on production. And Jack is keeping time, and, you know, he's getting better every week. So the security guard comes down 3 different times. There should be a picture of the security guard and, anyway, security guard comes down 3 times. We finally finish the workout. We expect him to kick us out. And he says, listen, I want to work with you. I think this is really cool. Who's the coach? And so we all look at Jack, and we say, Jack's the coach. And Jack shakes his head. The guy says, no, really, man, who's the coach? Again, we look at Jack, and he kind of is the coach on this thing. So finally, you know, I take it the 3rd time. I say I'm the coach. Jack Strong is now doing this. Can we run that video? This is Jack Strong pushing 300 pounds 3 days ago. Can you see this, Kevin?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so this is 4 months away. So that's the superstar of the week. That's a friend of mine. That's his son. And that's how we're going to start this show.
Incredible, buddy.
What do you think of that?
Great job, Jack. Where was your 8192 shirt, brother? Just kidding. Anyway, so Jack's the superstar of the week. Brother Sin, how about those numbers, bro?
Man, they were awesome.
Okay.
I was shocked. I'm the full believer, and I was shocked at the numbers we got.
Okay, so you might want to know why I'm carrying this around. This is Alpha Brain. It's called The Hook. This is called The Hook. This show is called The Truth. I'm going to spit out some truth and really let you know how this podcast game works. My name's The Godfather. They call me The Godfather. I call myself The Godfather. I'm not really The Godfather. The Godfather of this podcast, YouTube world, is Joe Rogan. That's who the guy is. He's got 18 trillion views on his show every week.
Every single episode.
Every single episode. But what people don't understand is if Joe Rogan gives you the kiss, and you've got even a little bit of shine to you, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed. All sorts of, and not everybody actually realizes this. There's a whole bunch of people that have went on that show that might have been a good fighter, a mediocre fighter, a comedian or something. They went on that show and then blown completely up. What they didn't realize is because Joe gave him the kiss. So Joe, this is me and you talking right now. Now I'm gonna keep coming up here somewhere spitting every single week. I'm gonna lose 982 more pounds. I'm gonna weigh 4 pounds in a minute. I'm gonna be doing triathlons. I'm gonna give all of it. I'm gonna give all of it to T Plus and the grassy road. That's the
Grass-fed whey, brother. Grass-fed whey.
The grassy road. That's the box of Joe's supplements that he sent me 3 months ago, and I've been eating every day, and it's great. But again, those supplements, they're not doing the work. Those supplements, they're not passing the meals. It's me doing it. They're only supplements. But now, today, we got Alpha Brain. We got Alpha Brain, baby. So we're going to do two things, Joe. We're going to do two things. You're going to bring me on the show and give me the Rogan kiss, and then bam, this thing's going to blow up. Everybody's going to love The Godfather. Or I'm going to come up here and bomb every week and say it's all because I took Alpha Brain. Because last week, baby, I took it pillar to post. So now I'm on Alpha Brain. So there's the Rogan challenge. Joe, I need on your show, Daddy, because as many numbers as we had last week, we're going to be doing a lot different stuff up here. This show's about changing your world, baby. This show's about change. Brother Sin, tell us what we got, and bring Brother Sin down full screen if you can. Talk about your sponsors that's not Alpha Brain, and talk about the Brother Sin Challenge and some of the things we got going on.
Absolutely. So the challenge, we're going to try and kick it off next week. Not the $1,000 challenge next week, but we're going to kind of prep it, do a mini version, barring any major hiccups. So we're going to go out, we're going to film, I'm going to get a few people, and we're going to do a challenge out on the Field of Dreams. We're going to do a super knot combined with some running challenge. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. You guys are going to see what I'm all about, what the Brother Sin world and the challenge is going to be about going forward. It's going to be fantastic. Now, since we talked about the challenge last week, and Godfather said, this isn't for your 22-year-old college kid. It's for somebody who needs a boost. I'm getting all these messages, Brother Sin, are you afraid? Why can't I do it? I'm 25. I kick your butt, yada, yada, yada. I've heard it all. So what we're going to do, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to do some different things with the challenge. I'm going to start going to some of these colleges. We're going to put together some teams. We're going to do some team challenges. We're going to pair off some athletes, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and they're going to do the Brother Sin Challenge against each other and against me. So there's going to be a little pride in it. We're going to get some fraternities going against each other. We're going to get some sports athletes, track team versus some football guys going against each other. They're going to compete against each other while also getting their butts kicked by me. And if anybody happens to beat me, as slim, as razor thin slim as that chance might be, there might be just a little something in it for them in the end, let alone being shown live on our show in front of, tens of thousands of people.
Tens of
so
thousands.
It's going to be incredible.
Get that number up bigger. Get that. You got to put that number up here, baby. You got the tens of thousands, millions, and billions of people. All right, Brother Sin. I tell you what. I tried to cook the books on Brother Sin's challenge. Olympian Reese Humphrey. He used to live in Ohio, and I've corresponded with him back and forth. I was trying to get him to do your challenge against you in Clark College in a couple weeks from now. You couldn't crack Reese, or you'd never. Nobody. Reese would have got the G. Reese would have got the G. But
Reese ain't got nothing.
Reese would have got the G.
Nothing.
All right. So now, Sin, kick out the sponsorship information that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're big time already. This is awesome. We're getting contacted by some people. So we've got some good sponsors already for the show. So a couple things we've got. We mentioned them before online on the Facebook, yada, yada. We've got Audible. So if you go to audibletrial.com/8192 The Truth, they're going to give you 30 days free. They're going to give you a free book. That's a big one. We already talked about on it. So we're going to have a little contest here for the next 3 weeks. Kind of our sponsors have agreed to it. So three things you got to do. You got to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You got to leave a review, take a screenshot of your review, and you got to sign up for the Audible. Take a screenshot when you sign up. Send me those pictures. In 3 weeks, I'm going to pick randomly from everybody that's done that. And the sponsors have agreed to give a $100 gift card to Onnit, $100 to Audible, and $100 to Amazon. So $300 in gift cards is going to go to one of our fans that goes through, signs up, subscribes on iTunes, leaves us a review, even if it's just 5 words. Hey guys, great show. Beautiful. Anything. Leaves us a review and then signs up for the free Audible trial. Shot at $300 in gift cards.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right. Again, Love these sponsors. Rogan, The Hook, me and you, brother, on the show, talking about old times, talking about, I'm the triple threat, Joe. I've got history. I got history. I go way back. We're going to talk about, the early days of Team Quest. I went to prison. I got prison stories.
You got a story, brother.
Okay.
You got a story the world needs to hear.
And we are gonna revolution the world with Alpha Brain, or you're gonna pay me loads of money to not come out here with the hook. All right.
Let me get some shout outs if you got a sec.
No, hold the shout outs. Okay, you can do the shout outs. Get your shout outs. Do your shout outs.
We just had some people that have been big supporters of the show. They've hit the sponsors already and they've hit us up. So I got about 3 of them. So Zach Heim, brother, big fan of the show. Dude's got 1 kidney. His parents were told he wouldn't make it to his first birthday. He's now 35 years old, training for a 5K, kicking butt. He is 8192. Huge shout out, Zach. Johnny Utah, another big fan, been hitting us up, losing a ton of weight, training like crazy in the gym, looking fantastic. Dude is a warrior. And Jay Chirko, one of the first people to pop up when we had the sponsors, bought himself a Macho Man pink tank top on Amazon to wear to a court date because he wanted to prove a point. That's 8192, brother. Love it.
All right. Randy Sheppel, he's got an autistic daughter. I know I butchered his names. Names are hard. He's lost 45 pounds. And then Brother Jason Bruce finally got back from Iraq and Afghanistan. He's the gentleman that was on the picture with the flag on the YouTube video last week. He carried around a flag in Lad's honor. He got into town yesterday. Wasn't able to meet up with him. We're going to have him on the show or on the podcast soon.
That's a hero right there, brother.
I want to get back to the guts of the show. And what we're all about before we get to the Randy interview. I promised Randy, and Randy's going to be on the show. I'm going to tell some Randy stories. But the reason Lad's not up here is we came down to do the show yesterday, and it didn't work out. We had some problems and some time restraints, and it didn't work out. So we're back here today. So I go to work yesterday. And man, I'm just a wreck. The world has come to an end. Everything bad has come to an end. Over really was nothing. But all day long, I tried to fight out. I I couldn't get out of the poor me, everybody is just negativity. I couldn't get out of it, and I wanted to. I did not want to be in that position. I try everything in the world. I go all the way through the day of work, and I am non-productive. I am horrible. I am zero, but I keep fighting. Mentally, I keep fighting. On the way home, I get a text from my sister that says, "Hey, we're at Topgolf." And it just, boom, it just changes just like that. I'm like, that's cool. Lad's with his family at Topgolf, having a good time. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to have a good time. And immediately I started feeling better. Went over, had a good time, shut my phone off, went and had a great workout last night, had a great workout this morning. And I flipped the script. Now, when I was driving home, I had planned the rest of the night. I was going to struggle through a workout. I was going to get some sleep. And I was going to somehow hope when I woke up today that I was in a better mood. But I changed it. I changed it. And I guarantee, see, we've got an MMA push. Our initial numbers are going to be through the MMA world from me being on Chael's podcast and whatever kind of shine that got me. But that's not what this show is about. That's not what this show is going to become. This show is about how you can change and you're a day in or you're a day out. Yesterday, I got a chance to talk with Randy. I actually videoed him. You'll see the video up here in a second. Lad's going to introduce Randy. I want to tell some Randy stories first. Of course, Randy was going to be our first guest. Randy's had my back for, the better part of the last 15 years. But the things that I'm going to tell you about Randy before I tell you about, what a great fighter he is, are the great things that he's done for my son, okay? The great thing he's done for me. Lad was diagnosed autistic at 2.5 years old. From that day, like Brother Sin's up in the corner in my ear, Randy has been in my ear, let me know he's going to be okay. He's going to be fine. It's all right. And sure enough, Lad just kept getting better and better and better. Kept getting better and better and better. One of the people that is instrumental in the growth of mixed martial arts in the Portland area is a guy named Christopher David Laushi. He was my partner in USA Auto, where Team Quest started out of the Back Bay, and he passed away in 2002, December 20th of 2002. And Randy was training for a fight. And Chris died in an automobile accident on Friday. And obviously I'm devastated. I mean, I'm torn up. It's mind-boggling to all of the things that are going on. And Sunday, I call Randy. And of course, this is 2002. He's training for a world championship fight every 10 minutes. I can hardly talk, because, I can't talk to somebody I care about without crying. And I said, I need to fight. He said, I'll be at the gym in a half hour. So we go to the gym. We don't say a word, and we start fighting. We put the big gloves on, and we start fighting. And he carries me. He carries me all the way, okay? But the fact is, he did carry me. And he carried me to get all of that out. And then at the end, I just said, I'm done. And that was it. Didn't say a word. Didn't say a word. Something like that, to me, means everything in the world, and I'll never forget it. Always having Lad's back means everything in the world to me. The times that we spend in Bend with the kids, Caden, Randy's son, has been instrumental, was Lad's first friend. And they're 29 days apart. And Caden wrapped his arms around Lad at an early age, and Caden was advanced. He was advanced physically. He was talking when he was like a month old. I mean, he was incredible. And he always big brothered Lad. And I remember this time, they couldn't have been 2 years old, because Lad was barely walking. And they went to play, and Lad's not talking. Lad's not talking a bit. This is before he's even diagnosed as autistic. And Caden decides that Lad wanted some pie and ice cream. He comes out and says, hey, Lad says he wants some pie and ice cream. And we're like, oh, did he? So, that family, Caden and Trish and Randy, very, very special to me. I am going to tell you some tough guy stories because, again, we've got to cater to the tough guy crowd for a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll like these stories. Randy Pedro 2. Randy Pedro 2. You got to remember, I watched the growth of this sport, which is that I call the UFC. People call it MMA. There's other promotions, Bellator, and there's other places to go, one or whatever, where you can make a living. But the UFC and MMA to me are the same thing. So I watched the UFC grow out of the back of my car dealership through watching Randy fight. Back in 2002, 2003, if you wanted to be a reporter, all you needed to do was have a website, a camera, a microphone, and knowledge how to get to, I don't think we had GPS back then, knowledge how to get to my car dealership, and boom, you could go in and have access to, the greatest fighter in the world, like Lad's going to say, the Muhammad Ali of mixed martial arts. So Randy Pedro 1 is a war. It's a war. Randy, man, I think Randy won. The fans probably split. He got the judge's decision, so he won. He remains himself champ. But the rematch is going to go to the younger guy. He's fighting Randy Pedro. So Randy Pedro 2 is the first, or I think it's the first time it's ever in Las Vegas. So anyway, Randy's in the back of the dealership. He's sitting down in the corner after sweating, and he's doing the Randy Couture interview, which is, well, it's all about competition. I don't really think about winning and losing. For me, it's just pushing myself in competition and da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 which is Randy Couture is the only person that has ever made it big, big, big being the nice guy, okay? Problem is, I know he's a killer. Okay? He is a nice guy, but he's also a killer. So anyway, he gets through this interview. The guy with the microphone, not the alpha brain, rolls off. Now there's nobody around. There's no microphone around. He winks at me and says, I'm going to punch a hole in his fucking head. Now he didn't say fucking. Okay? Immediately I said, you're the Rock. You're Rocky. And I've called him Rock ever since. Another story. He's fighting Tito. In Las Vegas. And he's a 2-1 underdog. Yep, Randy is a 2-1 underdog. And I've got 10 grand out there on the fight. I've got front row seats. I got 10 grand on the fight. I get to where he's walking. I leave. I leave my front row seat and I go to the sports book because my stomach hurts so bad. For two reasons. A, I got 10 dimes out there, and truth be told, that's probably the biggest reason, and it's really not that much fun watching your bro fight. It really isn't. So he demolishes Tito every second of every round, and I have to get updates from the people in the sports book. So those are a couple Randy stories. I'm going to let Lad introduce Randy.
Now, we are going to introduce the guest that has been a huge inspiration to me and my dad's lives for the past 15 years. UFC Hall of Famer, 5-time world champion, the Muhammad Ali of our sport, the single greatest fighter to ever grace the UFC octagon, Randy, the Natural Couture.
Here we go. Hey, thanks for coming on, bro. You are in New Orleans.
I'm in New Orleans. We're getting ready to train the New Orleans Saints this morning with MMA Athletics, Unbreakable, and Extreme Couture. Had a great meeting last night with Coach Sean Payton. Looking for some grit, kind of turn up the temperature a little bit with some of these guys and help them find a little grit as they're in their preseason, going into their regular season games and stuff this year.
All right, cool.
That's really cool.
So Glazier's got a bus?
Yeah, check that out.
Oh man, how cool is that?
He's got a tour bus. He's just starting his 40-day tour of all the training camps in the NFL. So
hey, go shut off that.
Pretty long donkey ride for him. But, I think he has a pretty dang good time, and it's going to be good.
When are we going to get a tour bus?
We'll put the Godfather on the side of that thing.
There you go. Hey, all right, I'm gonna ask you some questions real quick. Did you see the drama with Connor and Paulie Malignaggi?
Yeah, I saw some of it. Paulie was saying that Connor squeals like a girl when he gets hit with a body shot. They were going back and forth.
Yeah. So my question. So basically, what happened was Paulie goes out there to spar. They have a big sparring session, and then somebody in the UFC or somebody with the promotion tweets out a picture. Paulie gets all twisted and goes sideways. Now, isn't that something that is in today's world? That would have never happened 10, 15 years ago, because what happens in the practice room stays in the practice room, right?
Yeah, camp is kind of sacred. If you're part of the team, then anything that happens in camp stays in camp. It shouldn't go anywhere else. That's just how it is. There's a code, and so sometimes you get a guy from outside. He's not part of your camp. He has no real affection or affluence for you and your team, or what your mission is. That sort of thing can happen, especially as much crap as Connor talks on a regular basis. I'm sure that Paulie saw an opportunity to get on this bandwagon, to make some name, some noise, and a little bit of a name for himself. Okay,
does Connor have a chance?
I think Connor honestly has a 1 in 10 chance of catching Mayweather in this fight. I think tactically and technically, the best boxers in the last 15 years haven't been able to touch Mayweather. And yeah, you can say he's 49 and he's old and Connor's young, but I don't see it. We haven't seen Mayweather slow down. We haven't seen any of that. Yeah, he's retired, but I don't think that had anything to do with him being physically unable to hold his own. So I just think the likelihood of McGregor catching Mayweather is very small. And if this were an MMA fight, a strictly an MMA engagement, I would say the exact opposite. But it's not. It's a straight boxing match.
Yeah.
49-0, guess, going against 0-0.
I tell you, my takeaway on it is Connor's got a chance, and it's got to be early. And I liken it to wrestling a big musclehead bodybuilder that's never wrestled before. As crazy as it sounds, that's a guy that has a better chance of getting a takedown on a good wrestler than an average wrestler, because everything they do is wrong.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. That's one of the pluses that I think Conor McGregor has going into this fight, is that he's unorthodox. He's long. He's going to throw things that Mayweather is not used to seeing. He's not going to come from the traditional places that a high-level boxer is going to throw them, and I think that's an advantage for McGregor. But still, think it's a pretty tall order, and pretty unlikely that he's going to catch Mayweather and be able to put him away.
All right, cool. So I'll ask you a couple fan questions. We'll get you out of here. When you have more time, we'll have you on the show. Gary Siegel from Detroit wants to know, for the right money, would you come back and fight?
I don't think you can ever say never. So I suppose if somebody were to seriously propose the right offer and it made sense. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I've been retired for 6 years. It would have to be pretty damn significant to bridge that logic. But it's not unbridgeable. I don't think there's anything that you could ever say never.
The thing about that is it would be tough to turn back a bunch of money for something you'd do for free.
And we did it for free for a long time.
All right. Daniel Esposito wants to know, how did you recover from your losses and come back better?
I think it's all about perspective. I never watched all those videos of those fights I won. You can be damn sure I watched every one of those ones I lost, because they made me better. They made me a better athlete, and at the end of the day, I think they made me a better man. You have to struggle. You have to face some adversity in life. That's what makes us better. We need those challenges. That's what grows your spirit. That's what helps you develop resilience. And so I think you need those struggles and those challenges. And thank God for those guys that forced me to do those things I didn't want to do otherwise.
Okay, Ben Carroll wants to know, who was the toughest guy you ever fought or wrestled, and it could have been in practice?
Well, this guy named Joel Superknot had a pretty nasty foot sweep.
Hey, thanks for putting me over, but really, who was it?
We had a hell of a room up there in Oregon at Team Quest. Dan Henderson was the first guy to ever knock me on my ass in practice. Every single guy I faced was tough and was good at what he did. Obviously, I've said time and time again, the toughest brawl and fight that I was ever in was the first time I fought Pedro Izzo in Atlantic City at Trump Taj Mahal. It was an absolute war, and I was very happy to come out with the decision on that fight, but it was a tough fight. Broke my nose, got kicked in the leg about 14 times. I didn't walk right for about 6 weeks after that fight.
Hey, bro, I don't think I've ever actually asked you this question. Did you take, did you take the third round off and take that beating because you were out of gas, or was it the second round?
I almost had him out in the first round. He came back in the second, and that's when I broke my nose. The third round and fourth round were mine. I took him down and was able to stay on top of him for those rounds. And then the fifth round, he landed a kick and my leg went out. And I think he ended up winning the fifth round. So it was a tough fight.
That's probably the best fight I've ever been to. Last question, bro. Who's going to win the World Series?
The World Series. Well, I know you're a Cubs fan, and they're coming off of winning the title. So I've always been a Cubs fan. I think it's a pretty amazing stadium. It's an amazing team. Overcoming the myth of the curse, whatever you want to call it. I think who knows? There's so many games. I can't believe how many baseball games those guys play in a season. It's pretty remarkable.
Man, I got to tell you, tell Jay good job on that bus. You're right. I do want a bus that says The Godfather on it.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool inside, too. He heads from here in New Orleans down to Miami, comes up to Tampa, up to Atlanta, and he heads up to the Northeast area and catches all the teams up in the Northeast. So he's on quite a journey here for the next 40 days.
All right, cool, bro. That was 10 minutes. Hey, thanks for coming on. We'll have you on when you got more time. Thanks for doing this, bro.
Yeah, brother. See you soon.
All right.
All right, so obviously that is not work done here at Phosphor Studios, okay? That was 7 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and it was the only way I could figure out how to get Randy on as promoted and still do everything that I had to do. So I really thank him for that. I think it'll turn out fine on the podcast version.
Absolutely. That was awesome.
One of the things that can we get to the background, the regular background? One of the things that there we go. One of the things that he spoke about was resiliency, and that's a guy with all the real resiliency in the world. And one of the reasons he has so much is he has the ability to shut off all the noise and stay on task for his focus. I do want to talk to you a little bit about this Connor drama, because I know you're all living in the.
It's ridiculous. I mean, my point is his ego as a professional fighter so fragile that he just can't shut up defending himself? I mean, he's the only one talking. Connor ain't said a word. Connor's camp ain't said a word. He just keeps squawking, defending himself. Well, you're a pro fighter, man.
Come on, Seamus. Come on. Please get this. So one of the cool things about this is we've got a dog, Seamus dog. I call him Sweetness because I had a lab for 13 years, and he's in studio with us. So he'll be my second co-host for the rest of the show. So here's my take on the Paulie Malignaggi. Is that how you say his name? Malignaggi?
Yeah, Malignaggi.
Okay.
Yep.
First off, you're a two-time world champion. Why are you going out to spar with Connor? Well, you're going out to spar with Connor to get some kind of Connor shine, to get some kind of Connor shine.
You're a two-time champ and nobody knows who you are.
Well, see, I mean, it's boxing, and this is a whole different thing. I don't want to take that away from him, and he's a great analyst. But the reality is, you're going out there to be a part of the shine. All right, You're not a coach. You're going out as a sparring partner, and it sounds like you went out and fought for 12 rounds.
Yeah.
So they go out and they get in a battle. Connor is ready to go. And he's fighting. I mean, do you know how hard that is? Paulie Malignaggi won a boxing title 2 times, and Connor's never fought in his life. He's never boxed in a match in his life. So of course he's going to be gunned up. So they go to war. They go to war for 12 rounds. Now, Paulie Malignaggi, I'm actually proud of myself that I can say that name. I love that the dog's right here. That's really the coolest part of this whole show today. Anyway, so he comes and he shoots a video. I don't know if you watched the video after the practice. And he talks about, hey, we sparred hard. You know, Connor's improved over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yep. Very positive.
Yeah, nothing but good things.
Nothing but good things. A picture. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm talking about. It's crazy a guy's telling you to put down your phone that wants you to plug my voice into your phone and listen to. But there's plenty of time for both. Okay, there's plenty of time for both. Somebody within the promotion takes a picture, tweets out a picture, doesn't say anything, but it leads you to believe that Connor had knocked down
Paulie. Yeah. Makes you think he dropped him. Yeah.
Paulie goes nuts. Paulie, it's the biggest thing in the world. Now this is a sparring partner.
Yeah.
This is a sparring partner that has now injected himself into the story because he's been wronged. All right. First off, Paulie, no matter if you had 15 or 20 titles, you're a sparring partner. You're supposed to go in there, and the other guy, even if you can beat up the other guy, you're supposed to not let him know that. You're supposed to build his confidence. Okay? Second off, that's really it. At that point, you're a sparring partner, bro. Go back, get some rest, and show up, shut up, and suit up again. That's all you're supposed to do. So that whole drama never had to happen. It's the kind of thing that happens in the society that we live in, and it's nonsense.
Yeah, everybody's fragile. Everybody wants to be, unbreakable, and they don't want anybody to know they've got any flaws. It's sad. And it's practice. Yeah.
It's practice. It's practice.
Talking about practice.
If I had Iverson up there, he'd be yelling, it's practice, it's practice.
Talking about practice.
It's practice.
Come on, man. Talking about practice.
One of the things, practice is like yesterday for me. How do you get over a bad day? How did you, as an athlete, as a businessman, as a husband, as a father, Kevin, how do you get over underperforming in any one of those areas?
First, you got to have a support system. You got to have somebody like you. Like I'd call you and say, hey, dude, this day sucked. Everything went wrong. Just get it out, verbalize it, put it out in the world. You're going to say, yeah, you're right. That does suck. But you know what? Today's over. So you get it out there. You get it out of your head. You verbalize it. You put it out there into the atmosphere. It's done. You step back. You learn what you could from it. Every failure, every success brings a lesson. So you take what you can from it. You learn. And you realize that tomorrow I'll take that and I will make tomorrow better. But it's done. Once it's done, it's done. You cannot go back. You get it out, you remove it, you learn, you move on.
I love how you say you verbalize it. I love how you say that because this is a really weird experience. I'm not a stage guy. I'm nobody. it's when I come up here and I put the headphones on and I start talking, I feel a bit of power. I feel
Absolutely.
a bit of power. And I think when you say you verbalize it, one of the things that happened to me yesterday is I asked Lad, what do you think of your summer? And he told me, now you got to understand, he's been to Las Vegas, he's been to Chicago, he's been to St. Louis, he's flown off, he's jumped off the stratosphere, he's been to a UFC fight.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. He's had a full summer, and I knew that going in, and Lad answered the question correctly. He said, well, I feel bad saying this, but I wish I would have been able to spend more time with my family. And all he was doing was being honest. I asked him a question, but he didn't give me the answer that I wanted. And so instead of taking it for what it was and maybe progressing it a little bit, that was the first and biggest part of me crippling my emotions for a day, is how I took somebody's words and misinterpreted them. Words are hard, right?
Words are hard, bro.
Words are hard. But I kept working through that, and I kept working through that, and I kept working through that. And this morning, you saw Lad introduce Randy. Well, right before that, because Lad had to go get some testing done today, so he couldn't come in, I stopped him and said, hey, no. And he got upset. He's like, I feel like everything you're doing is you're picking on me. And I'm like, no, Lad. How many times in the course of a day do I tell you you're the greatest, that you're the best? All you're hearing is the negative stuff. And that's what not all of us do, but that's what I tend to do.
Yeah.
It's something that's crippled me with being successful. And
you focus on the bad. Yeah. You get in the mode where you only focus on the bad things. Those are the only things you feel. You could have 50 things go extremely well, and it means nothing to you. One thing goes bad, and it hits you like a cannonball.
Exactly. So I wanted to touch on that because, again, at the end of the day, this is a positive. The message I want somebody to come back to me and say, man, that just happened to me, and here's what I did with it. That just happened to me. Here's what I did with it. Who was the guy, you mentioned him in your shout-outs? He's got a funny name. You had 3 shout-outs. Who were they?
Yeah. Zach Heim, Jay Chirko, and
who's the funny name guy?
Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah. Okay, because wasn't Johnny Utah a character in the in Point Break?
Point Break.
Yeah. Johnny Utah. So anyway, Johnny Utah had reached out to me, and he basically said, "Hey, I listened to you on Chael's show. I followed your story, and you motivated me." At the end of the day, I am not pandering, other than you, Joe Rogan, Alpha Brain. I want the Joe Rogan kiss. I want the kiss. I want the shine. I'll run with it. You give me that 3 million, 10 million audience, baby. I will run with it. Just give me a little rub, a little shine. Okay? I tell you a story about Joe Rogan real quick. Back in 2000, 2001, there was 5 places to train in the whole country, and one of them was in the back of my car dealership. Rogan was still doing the Rogan Factor, and you could talk to people on this thing called the MMA Underground.
Yeah.
But he was up here, and and I said, hey man, I'll fly you out. I can give you like $500, but I'll take you around with the guys and go through all of the training. And he actually got back to me and he said, I'd love to, but I got 3 or 4 shows. So, Joe, I need the kiss. I want to finish today's show with a positive message. Do you have a positive message?
I got lots of positive messages.
TikTok. All right. He has a lot of positive. I'm telling you, the sin's going to be a killer up there. The sin's going to be a killer up there. My message is this. Go grab that person that's most important to you in this world. Wrap your arms around them and tell them you love them. Okay? If